popping on live here just to see if anybody's around on a Sunday evening, not doing anything, not getting ready for the work week. The topic is going to be what makes a good knife? What makes a good knife good? What makes a bad knife bad? So, we'll give a few minutes here, see if anybody pops on. If you popped on, go ahead and say hi. Trying to pull up the chat here. It's been a while since I did a live video. So if you saw the title, we're talking about what makes a good knife. I've got a few knives here on the table. I just filmed a little video on this Hammer brand knife here. Hey Grugs. This Hammer brand is super old. I think they made these back in the 50s. Got a 4-inch clip point blade. Then this secondary is a fish scaling tool and hook gouge there with bottle opener. Man, I'm just chilling today for the most part. My friend had a baseball game for my stepson this morning. Then we came home, went to the pool for a couple hours, and just kind of hung out, had some dinner, got a haircut. Hope you've been having a good weekend, man. Thanks for jumping on. Cabo Campa, long time. Doing well. How are you? Yeah, make sure to say hi in the chat if you're popping on. We're talking about what makes a good knife. You know, what differentiates, nonsense knives, cartoonish flea market stuff from a good knife, or, what some people think is a good knife, other people don't think is a good knife. So please share your opinions in the chat. I've got a few blades around here. How about a Case Trapper? Is a Case Trapper a good knife? People have been using Case Trappers for 100 years to, do whatever. Make it their EDC knife and all that. But there's all kinds of people that poop on these knives nowadays. Case has their true sharp stainless steel that nobody knows really what it is, when you have all kinds of exotic type steels these days, a new super steel every year and all that. But is this still a good knife? I mean, Case was one of the pioneers in the cutlery industry for using stainless steel. They started using stainless steel around 1916. So they should know what they're doing. Now, obviously, if I were to just, cut out a pattern of a knife here at my house and give it to you, it wouldn't be a good knife if it was made of Magna Cut steel. it has to be heat treated and tempered and have a decent grind on it. So it's not it's not just the steel. I mean, I could cut a knife-shaped object out of a piece of Magna Cut steel, like I just said, but that doesn't make it a good knife. So Case's True Sharp stainless steel, assuming they've been using the same kind of thing for the past 100 years for their stainless stuff, I mean, they should know how to heat treat it and temper it properly to hold a decent edge and have a decent amount of toughness. But take a look at this knife. This is a Dispatch brand knife that I got on Amazon a little while ago because our buddy Grugs at Legion Tactical Cutlery had I think a 50% off discount code in one of his videos for some Dispatch knives, and this brought this knife down from like $20 to $10 or something. Now it's super sharp. It's got nice wood scales, just like this one. This is a curly maple handle from Case. I mean, I don't know what kind of wood this is. It may have said in the description, but who knows? Is this going to be as good as the Case knife that has 100 years of experience in heat treatment and tempering processes behind it? I don't know. I mean, time will tell, I guess, but just because I got this for $10 on Amazon and it's made in China, does this necessarily make this a bad knife? Does Well, I mean, it doesn't make it a good knife either. I mean, it's definitely sharp. This piece of paper is too tiny to be slicing like that. Now, going on more, is this a good knife? It has some good components on what people here on YouTube say is a good knife. It's got a ergonomic grip. It's got jimping in the right spot. It is full tang. Now, maybe you can see out there. I know the all black. It shows up. You can see the tang running all the way through this. Bolted in with hex bolts, and I got this at Walmart for like $5 or $6. But is this knife heat treated and tempered properly to be a good knife? Did they leave it too soft where it won't ever keep an edge for more than a few cuts? Now this is the sheath for this knife. Does the sheath factor in to whether a knife is a good knife or not? So this sheath is, just some sort of molded plastic. And I could say this definitely dulls the edge when I pull the knife out of this. I know people kind of harp on the cold steel Secure-X sheaths for doing that, but it's not near like this Ozark Trail from Walmart. Tracy, thanks for stopping in. Simpler the better when it comes to knives. Our ancestors conquered whole continents with knives. Most knife styles would sneer at today. Before that, they were using stone. You're absolutely right. So I read a book earlier this year called The Edge Master's Handbook by a guy named Len McDougall. He's he is self-proclaimed America's best outdoorsman or something like that. You can look it up on his Amazon author page. But he's got quite a few books on survival and preparedness, and this book on knives. Because he's lived an outdoor lifestyle his whole life. his whole knife, his whole life, and spent his whole life using a knife. Um, hey, I think he lives in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, so he's in some harsh environments up there in the winter. And he says in that book that any knife today is much better than pretty much any knife made like 50 years ago, even. There's been so many more advances in heat treatment and tempering processes that these knives are just better. Like this, it's better than some cheap stainless knife from the 1960s, because these people, they've I mean we've evolved, we learned things in the process. Knife making's a science, a craft. Now, let's look at the something else here. K-Bar USMC. I would say this is a good knife, a great knife. Yet people spit all over these. Oh, it's not a full tang. It's got a rat tail tang. So what? Like, what are you doing with your knives? Sure, we test knives for the sake of showing what type of abuse they can take here on YouTube, just to really give them a measure of strength against what else is out there. But if you're really not doing that day to day, and it's more for entertainment value. Now, of course, people baton wood and stuff these days with their knives. It's a thing now, but people didn't do that years ago. That author I mentioned a minute ago, Len McDougall, he said he invented batoning back in the 90s. He would write for the like different outdoors and knives magazines back then, and he said he invented batoning in a magazine article back then. And people didn't baton with their knives. Daniel Boone, you wouldn't catch him batoning his knife, making firewood. He probably only had one, and he had to take care of it. So, do you really need a full tang knife? Here's a full tang knife that many would say is a fantastic knife. Probably no arguments, but does it really cut better than the K-Bar? Well, that's not really a fair question. I think it will cut better than the K-Bar, just because it's that full flat grind, and this is more of a partial half or saber grind, we call it. There's just more thickness up here to give strength, where the flat grind just glides through material when you're touching it. Now, Peterbilt, what's up? You abusing them? Yeah, I think that Cold Steel Trailmaster can take some more abuse than others. Yeah, Matthew, hope you're doing well, man. Yeah, it got to be a good knife. If it was contracted during World War II, probably not too many Marines and Navy folk complained about this in the 1940s. Okay. Tracy saw a Pacific Islander fillet dozens of fish with an Ulu style knife made from a folded lid from a tin can. Wow. I there's the question. Is a folded tin can a good knife? If you saw him fillet dozens of fish with it, I mean, I guess it has to be somewhat good. Maybe are those tin cans heat treated and tempered well? If you had to be lost in the woods with one, what would you choose? Uh, Man, that's tough. Um, Probably the Winkler, just because I think the size is good for a variety of stuff, including comfortably carrying on my belt, which is, you know, it means I would be likely to have this in the woods. Um, you can you can baton with this knife if you want. We got 3/16 of an inch thick back here, and then of course, it tapers towards the point. Tough 80 CR V2 steel. Uh, this is a knife that I'd be likely to have out in the woods. Now, it's not really much of a chopper because it's just not big enough for that. But you can, chop at small limbs to get kindling to make a fire and all that. But I would have no qualms with being stuck in the woods with my K-bar knife either. You know, this is this is a tough knife. The K-bar. I like the K-bar. It it can be used for a variety of tasks. I would feel, this is bigger than the Winkler, about an inch and a half or so. Well, yeah, it can chop. I mean, I I just don't. It's not meant for chopping. Something like the Ontario Bowie here. You obviously chop much better with this than the Winkler. But this I would not be as likely to carry on a wilderness excursion. It's probably twice as heavy as the Winkler. Um, I have no problem, batoning this either. And even, you probably wouldn't consider this a full tang knife. It's a hidden stick tang style with rubber molding around it. Uh, I will however, say I would not choose the Ozark Trail 7-inch fixed blade. Although I do have a couple of them. I like the design of these. They're good for. They're just good to have around here in the garage, in the workshop. If you need to open something or cut something little. Nah, they're cool knives, and they're super cheap. But not something that I would carry as my primary edged tool on some type of outdoors excursion. Matthew carries an axe and a saw. Yeah, absolutely. I don't care if my knife can strike a spark with a ferro rod. Yeah, me neither. For the most part, uh, the, when I use a ferro rod, I use a ferro rod striker. That was specifically made to use on the ferro rod. Now I try it out on my knives. I believe I can strike a ferro rod with the Winkler. I'd have to go back and watch my review I did on it. I usually try to strike a ferro rod in all my videos. I think I even did a Fatwood Friday with this a while back, but I can't remember if I used the knife or ended up using the striker. Definitely attempted to use the knife, but I cannot remember if that spine will strike a ferro rod or not. And I honestly don't think I've tried with the K-bar to strike a ferro rod. Um, from what I remember in other reviews, I don't think the K-bar really strikes a spark. People say if a knife has a coating on it, that kind of rounds the coating itself rounds off the edge enough where it won't actually make a spark. Now, here's a knife over here that it comes with a ferro rod and has a specially ground spot here on the top for striking it. So does that aspect make this a good knife? This is the Gerber Bear Grylls Ultimate Pro. And this knife takes a lot of crap from people, even though they don't realize it's the Pro version. The regular Ultimate knife, there's not a huge name differentiator there. People have broken those. I think definitely like the first original run of the Ultimate knife back from like 2011. I guess the butt end broke off a lot. But this is full tang. It's not a partial tang like the Ultimate knife. This is a true full tang. And I believe the pommel is actually welded on. It's not like part of like the steel blank that these were ground out of. But it's I think this is a good knife. It's comfortable. It sharpened up real nice, and it's a good size for a variety of stuff. So, maybe I'd feel comfortable with this if I got lost in the woods too. Yes, this is the 9CR steel. Slingshot. No, no, don't. I haven't caught your new knife review yet. I'll have to go check it out. Someone's stomach, they wouldn't tell the difference. You're probably right. However, I bet if they didn't die and I had a serrated blade, they would tell the difference when I pulled out. Yeah, this 9CR, I don't really see it a lot. This is 9CR 19 MOV, is what's advertised by Gerber. I have seen 9CR 18 on some knives, like Civivi. I've seen that on, and a couple of SOG blades, but I've never seen 9CR 19 listed on another knife. But so that goes back to one of my original questions and thoughts. Does the blade steel make it a good knife? I said I could get my angle grinder out and carve out a knife out of a piece of magna cut steel, but that's not going to make it a good knife. Just because it's that steel, I have to make sure it's ground well and heat treated properly and given a good temper. So, I mean, there's more than just the steel, right? What about handle material? Does a particular handle material make it a better knife than whatnot? Say this Winkler. This is my Carta. Hey Frank, thanks for coming on, man. This is my Carta, but if this was in wood, would you think it a better or worse knife? They make these in wood handles, even a sculpted G10, or I think in rubber as well. Uh, Same with the K-bar. Would you say the rubber like Kraton material would that make the K-bar a better knife for you? Both made to the same steel. 1095 for the K-Bar, 80 CRV2 for the Winkler. So think about the Buck 110 folding knife. You know, they have wood handle scales. Now this here is the Pro model Buck 110. So this is G10 handle scales versus wood. They have a nice texture to them, but I don't really know that I really get that much better of a grip and feel, you know, sure in my hand over the wood scales of the standard Buck 110. Now this one also has upgraded blade steel and S30V over 420HC, but it's going to dull when you use it. You're going to have to sharpen this eventually, a little bit sooner than the 420HC, but it'll also take you a little bit longer to sharpen. And Matthew, 440A, there's probably not even a lot of American knife companies using 440A anymore. Yeah, Gruggs just mentioned Rough Riders. I know they use 440A relatively exclusively in their standard knives, their traditional knives. I know they use D2 in some of their upgraded ones. I forget what they call their upgraded line. What is it? Grubs, Rough Rider. Yeah, I can't remember the ones that come with like micarta and D2. Little bit of an upgrade. Reserve. That's right, Rough Rider Reserve. Yeah, Tracy, it all comes down to what your skill set is, what you feel comfortable with. Yeah, now comfortable, do you mean in your mind or in your hand? Because with me, handle ergonomics actually play a great role in a knife and what makes me like it and feel that I can and use it well. I did a video recently on the D-Bad Menace where the handle grip wasn't the best for me. So it's not going to be a knife that I would go out and just use all the time because the grip just wasn't right for my hand. Now, here's a Gerber Gator knife here with a phenomenal grip, both in shape and material. You know, this really just fits my hand well. I love the finger grip here, the choil there for your first finger, and then the curve here and curve on the back. You know, that kind of handle design just does it for me. It feels secure, it feels comfortable. You know, that's just great. And these Gerbers, they've come in a couple of different blades. They have this drop point, and then they have clip points, partial serrations. Yeah, this Gerber Gator is this grip's hard to beat, and I've come to realize I really like a rubberized grip. I don't have a ton of issues with them. I do have a Buck, a Pursuit fixed blade. I don't have it with me right now, but that has some rubber on it and a couple of chunks, like small ones, mind you. A couple of chunks came out of it, but I mean it's still grippy, and I'm sure it'll last quite a while. Now this is rubberized here, and the the Ontario I had earlier, rubberized. Love it. I like the rubberized grips. But so Frank, you mentioned here if you're still on that 440A, easy to sharpen, easy to maintain. Does that factor in into what makes a knife a good knife? The handle is at least as important as the blade, if not more so. Finest blade in the world's useless if you can't stand to hold it. Very true. Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. Absolutely. What sort of chemicals? Say the Peterbilt knife guy said the Gerber Gator has an excellent feeling but not resistant to chemicals. What kind of chemistry are you into over there? Now here's something. I have a SOG multi tool, and it has a knife uh, somewhere around here. Yeah, here we go. It's got a knife on it. Do y'all consider the multi tool knife blades a good knife? Now SOG may not have as good of a reputation as Leatherman per se. I think this is a 5CR15 steel and leather. Leatherman usually uses 420HC. But do you consider these, super thin, straight blades on this like a good knife? If you watch the show alone on the History Channel, you'll see so many people going out there in the wilderness of the Arctic and whatnot with a multi tool, and they're processing all kinds of game with it. It definitely would not be my choice. Let's see. Read some chats here. Matthew, I love the look of the Buck 119 Special, one of my favorite blade shapes of all time, but the handle for me is not good. Which part of the handle? The overall ergonomics, or do you not just like the smooth black phenolic material? Brake fluid and cleaner. Okay. It just kind of tear up the rubber. Okay, Matthew, like we said a minute ago, he does not like the ergonomics of the 119. Okay. See, it's I don't have mine with me at the moment, but the 119 is an interesting handle. You usually don't find a lot of knives with a handle that thick anymore. Like it's twice as thick as this Winkler. Uh, but I don't know. For me, the 119, that bulbous handle feels good in my hands, and I don't know. Uh, I mean, everybody's hand is different. That's why they make different knife designs, right? Man, brake cleaner melted the texture off. That's kind of crazy. So now, Frank, ease of sharpening is low on the list because you prefer high edge retention. So there's a couple of knives coming out from Case, probably this fall, that are they have some larger knives coming out. One's like a recurved bowie, and one is more of it's kind of a modified Tanto, just kind of general purpose. It's called a Hunter, but I don't know. It doesn't scream hunting knife at me. And they're both made of 1095 steel, and both of the designers that Case worked with for these, their names are Laramie the Sasquatch Miller and Roland Welker. They, if you look up some videos from Blade Show a few weeks back, they'll both tell you that they really prefer ease of sharpening out in the field over edge retention. Now that's not saying that, I mean, they're using 1095 steel. They're not going out there with some, cheapo Chinese 3 CR13 that has like a 49 Rockwell. It's 1095, probably something like 57 on the Rockwell scale, depending how hard case heat treats it. I think K-Bar puts theirs at like 55 to maybe up to 58. So those guys who live outdoors now, I didn't really know much about those guys. This guy Sasquatch Miller, I guess he has a show on the Outdoor Channel. I guess he's a modern day mountain man and spends his life outside. Uh, the other guy, Roland Welker, he is the winner of season 7 of Alone, and he spent 100 days surviving out in the Arctic. So he's probably a pretty tough dude. And to live for 100 days by yourself in an environment like that, you gotta have some decent cutting tools and be able to maintain them out there. Yeah, Frank, the folders are definitely a bit different in terms of toughness versus edge retention. Because you're right, your fixed blade, that's what you're going to do the tough stuff with. The chopping and probably if you're a hunter, you probably use a fixed blade knife over a folder. Maybe not. It doesn't really matter. But the folders for the small stuff every day. You use it every day. It's your everyday carry, so you want that edge retention to be up there on your folding knife over toughness, because you're using it all the time, and you don't want to sharpen it all the time. Even though some of us like sharpening knives, but you don't want to just sit there doing it every second of the day. Matthew, that's an interesting question. The SRK, Frank's came apart. Okay, Frank, I remember when you got that knife. I'll have to, if you videoed that, I have to go back and catch up. But the SRK, I haven't done a toughness like test and review on mine. I got one back in the fall, and I know, I think for a while I kind of forgot I bought it. But uh, yeah, I hadn't heard bad about the SRK until GSM took over Cold Steel. So I saw, you're talking here about the the handle loosening at the tang. I mean, that's no good. And then I saw one online that the dude's blade broke, and he wasn't even being extremely rough with it. And it was just it was something wrong with the steel. He actually sent his Cold Steel SRK into Bark River Knives to do an analysis on it to see what was up with this SRK. And it was really, I guess it really wasn't Cold Steel's fault. It was something wrong with the sheet of steel that that knife was stamped out of. So hopefully mine's not from the same batch. Man, but I mean, to me, the Cold Steel SRK is a good knife. It's a tough, high carbon steel with a handle that's comfortable and that rubberized Kraton grip. Man, Yours broke the first time throwing it. That's interesting. I would not think that of the SRK. Because I think of it as a tough knife. But anyways, guys, I didn't want this to run too long. So it was nice that a few of you popped in here and chimed in on hearing me ask questions about what makes a good knife. So thanks for popping on, and hopefully we'll see you comment on another video soon. And I know I got a few to watch here from you all in the chat too. So have a great night, everybody, and hopefully you have a good first day of the work week tomorrow. Take it easy.